My message was personal pride, connectivity, and coming together. Just resistance. Like we can't start the game down 10, be down 20 in the second half, expecting it to come easy. This is professional sports. The other team is talented and capable, and we're shorthanded, we're small. We got to come out extremely sharp, extremely competitive, and we're the real fire. And it takes us getting down 20 to find that fire.
Is it any more disappointing or troubling when you had a rare couple of days off, and to be locked in for this front end of a back-to-back and have this type of a performance?
No matter what, it's frustrating. No matter, if it's a back-to-back, if it's a week off, you come to the gym, you got to want to fight with your teammates and make it extremely hard on the other team, make them miserable. And, we didn't do that. We did it in stretches, proved that we can do it, but we got a lot to clean up. And the number one thing is just, that attitude and that competition level and that connectivity. Those are things that you can't draw up. Those are things you can't practice. You just have to bring it. And I didn't feel that for 48 minutes.
Brian Lewis with the New York Post.
Hey, Steve. Obviously, there were a lot of issues to go around when you're discussing that kind of effort level and intensity. But I'm curious. There were a couple occasions where James took DJ aside. There were other occasions where it looked like you were having long talks with him. Were there things that they were doing that were kind of picking on DJ and taking advantage, or was it just making sure he was clear on what he should be doing and what the assignments were?
Yeah, I don't think they were necessarily picking on him. It's an emotional sport. We find ourselves in a hole and then get a little emotional, and it happens. But I don't think we get there if we come out with the correct intensity to start the game.
Malika Andrews with ESPN.
Steve, we've heard you've given that message to the group a couple of times now. It's the same issues that kind of continue to rear their ugly heads. Is now the time? Is it a matter of listening? Is it a matter of letting your message sink in? Is it a matter of you just need more time? Is this the time that it's going to work, or what needs to happen now? Because effort and intensity, you've preached that before.
Yeah, it's up to the team to decide what type of team they want to be, what they want to get out of this experience. I'm sure every team is going through this to some extent with the heavy schedule, missing bodies, all sorts of stuff thrown at us. So I don't think we're in isolation here. I think there's a lot of teams that struggle with this from its different nights. But I think our team needs to challenge themselves and figure out who they want to be and what they want to represent together. So, it's having played the game, a certain amount of that comes down to team building within that locker room and deciding, if they want to come together and be a force or if that's not as important. And I think right now, they've been tested here, whether they want to become that team that, is a tough, connected, and competitive every single night. And that's got to come from within that room. And, as coaches, we'll keep trying to get better and solve some of the issues. But I think the number one issue on a night like tonight was just, the competitive spirit to start the game in particularly.
Alex Schiffer with The Athletic.
Hey, Steve, you guys had multiple times in the second half where you'd get rid of their lead and get it to maybe a one-possession game, and then they'd go on another run, and all that work was undone. I guess what do you think caused you guys to prevent it from getting tied or making that extra step? Was it just that the energy exerted to get their lead withered away, to make that next step and get it tied, or a small lead, or something else?
I think we just made too many errors defensively. We weren't sharp enough. A part of that obviously is you dig a big enough hole. It's not easy to come all the way back. We're down 20 points. We get it back to a 3-point game. The game ebbs and flows. You can't always get back over the hump. But I think you're consistently making errors was the reason we couldn't get over the hump.
Bruce Beck with NBC New York.
Steve, you've had a trade. You've had injuries, you dealt with COVID protocols, you've got a lot of things going on. So is that a reason that you can kind of blame for this losing streak, or does it all go back to who they want to be and what they want to represent?
I think both are a part of this. I mean, we beat the Clippers. We must have won 8 out of 11 or 9 out of 12. 2 days to prepare for the Raptors, and obviously the Kevin situation where he got yanked right before tip, and allowed to go in cold, and yanked when we get back in the game. And then this is a week. That didn't help. Didn't do us any favors on the back-to-back with Raptors, Philly, and obviously now a back-to-back with Detroit and Indy. So that's tough. Like, let's face it, that is hard, and it kind of derailed our momentum there. Having said that, that's the way this year is going to be. We've said that from the start. You can't make excuses. You got to find a way to fight through. And, like I said to the guys, win, lose, or draw, I just want to feel them coming together and competing. And I want the other team to feel them. I want to sense resistance. At the heart of everything, of all winning teams, is a competitive spirit. So that is a big component of it. But, the scenarios have not done us any favors either.
Last question, Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News.
Hey, Coach, I think you called Kyrie's finger injury manageable. What did you think about the way he played out there today? And do you think his finger is this going to be something that he's going to have to kind of work through, or do you think he might have to take some time to figure that out? It looked like he was kind of struggling with it.
I think he's okay to continue with it. I thought he played pretty well tonight. It's, maybe wasn't a classic by him, but obviously he had some incredible plays and, produced. So I think there's, every reason to believe he can play through it and at the same time gain a comfort with where it's at. Maybe it'll settle a little bit as well. Whatever the finger presents, the finger will present. And if he's able to play, he's a tough cookie and will play. And if he's not, he needs rest. So we'll see how it goes, but I think he'll be able to play.
Thanks so much, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Good night, guys.